All right. Sorry about that, you guys. Let's talk about that. Okay. I am on. Okay, so it's off. That's good. Sorry. Let's come back here. Um, Hi. Hi. Okay, I'm back. I'm so sorry about that one. It's just small little tiny blips of what's happening. I have no idea. Okay, so what is going on, you guys? I hope you guys get back in soon. Soon. Oh, I'm just gonna talk to myself and yeah, and just be done with it. It's okay. Story of my life, right? Yeah, nobody listen anyway. Who cares? But okay, so let's yeah, what's going on with the price action today? Seemingly, yes, very strong. This is like one day, but again, slowly but surely. Um, Very suspicious too, right? Very quiet. Nothing seems to happen. But of course, behind closed door, we know what's happening. A quarter. What's up? What's up? Doing well, thank you. Anyway, so we are, kind of getting too close to this gap field here. I am kind of thinking that they might try to smack it down after this. Okay. So be careful. It's going to fill that one, and then I wonder if they're gonna try to kind of bring it back down here and then come back again. So prediction, right? Who knows? And then come back down, then go up, or even deeper. Who knows, right? Look. Okay. Okay. That makes no sense. All right. Why am I changing the color? But anyway, so it could happen that way, you guys, okay? Not to say that it's gonna do that and it has to do that. No, of course not. It doesn't have to do that. But if it does, don't be surprised, okay? We know what this is. We know what the company is doing. The company's doing well and all that stuff. Nothing changed, you guys. The company, look at the balance sheets, perfection, okay? Increase of improvement. Okay, let's just say improvement. If people don't realize that, I don't know what else to tell you. The company has been making improvements, and they're closing out stores and all that stuff to prepare for what is happening right now. And again, the story of GameStop is like that, where people might not be aware of what the company has been doing because they've been doing it secretly, okay, silently, the right way, while everybody tells them, oh, they're done for, right? 4 years from now, it's not gonna exist and all that stuff, right? But while they're quietly doing the good work to make this company better, okay, the company was going through a lot of price movement. Okay, that price movement tells a story, but it's not the whole story, you guys. The story that they want you to know about GameStop on the surface is that it's declining. Okay, they want you to see that in prices, and also so that when they tell you Jimmy's declining in revenue, people are more likely to short it. Join the force, short it, or even worse, sell out their shares. And there are some people who did that. But the majority of retail investor has been accumulating, right? Who believe in the company for the long term, who believe in that, perhaps the news media didn't tell you so much about GameStop, right? So there's a hidden meaning there. And of course, if you've been here for a long time, you understand what we're talking about here, or I'm talking about here, where the media can manipulate you into thinking that GameStop is not a good company to own, when it is everything. Like, to me, the leadership is just prepared. 3 years ago, we prepared for this type of thing. When the company raised money to pay off debt, that was the first major step into improvement already, because we were in debt. Okay, we were our long-term debt that was not sustainable, and so we did that. When I said we, I mean Brian Cohen, right? And so when that happened, what happened? People are, there should have been thinking about expanding revenue. Can you imagine if they had done that over here? Do you think the share would still be here? No, it wouldn't. Because they would have smacked it down even harder right there, right? Because again, we might not so lucky to always have revenue coming in, increasing in revenue, because we didn't even know. The footprint was shrinking for a reason. And that reason is the discretionary spending is not there. And so had they had the same store, okay, the amount of store over here, they would have been in trouble right now. So that's what people don't think, 3 years ahead of time. But our leadership did that. And so this is the leadership you want, to be a steward of your money, company's money, right? If you want to invest in this company, obviously. But the story that the narrative, the media want you to also think is that the only reason why this company is successful is because of the memes, the meme people, right? It's a meme stock. Of course, it's going to go up without fundamental basis. And so now Ryan Cohen and the team have the ability to show people, okay, if you think fundamental is not there, let me show you. So this phase of GME is going to be about growth, okay? In the time of uncertainty. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? That of all companies, GME is the one. Because this is the time. And again, speaks to loyalty, right? When you are loyal to something or someone, some good thing's gonna come with it, as long as it comes from the heart. And I think the CEO, and the reason why I said the CEO of my heart is because of that. I could see the purity in Ryan Cohen of wanting the good for this company. Yes, it's gonna increase in his network for sure. Not saying that he's just doing this out of the goodness of his heart, but I feel like he's doing it just to prove to himself that he could do it, and to prove to the world. It's like, yes, of course, GME could be something better than what people are spewing, and not only that, we'll grow it into something else that people might not even expect, might not even dream of. How high can it be? I don't know. Nobody knows. Anyone who claims to know what the price is, they're telling you lies, okay? So don't believe them. Just, make sure that you have your exit strategy plan or whatever if you want to play it that way. But for me, again, the strategy is in place. I've developed this strategy for a long time. And so it hasn't changed much. And so, make sure you have your own. Okay. I'm not gonna tell you what to do with your investment, because when you buy into this company, you better make sure you buy it into it the right time and for the right reason. Okay, so that's important. And if you're only here just for a short burst of whatever explosion, because you think that the company in and of itself is not doing much, it's okay. All right. Nice to see you. No harm, no foul type thing. Hey, Anthony, what's up? Matt. Guys. Cool. But anyway, so, lots of things happening behind closed door. So let's talk about NVIDIA real quick. Because I'm like looking at this earlier and it was like, it's close to $100 right now. So, yes, tech stocks going to plummet. Now, I don't know how fast, obviously, it's not going to be on a straight line. So don't freak out too much. But the whole idea is that, remember this gap? This is what we're looking for. 30, yeah, 30. It could. I'm not saying that it's going to go there tomorrow here, but it could because there's a gap there. It has to be filled somehow. Now, of course, if that's the case, I might start accumulating at that point in time. Will it continue to where? I have no idea. But anyway, I'm just thinking about establishing this position here. After MOAS or something like that. Who knows if there's MOAS even. But anyway, so I have been watching this gentleman here. He's kind of pretty new to talking about GameStop. Never had seen him before. So yeah, he's pretty new, but he's comparing GameStop to Berkshire Hathaway, how safe it could be. So it's a pretty good company, pretty good video to go by. Okay, and just search the gentleman's name here, and then you would be able to kind of. I don't want to play his content too much, so because he deserves a vote. A view vote. But anyway, so this whole tariffs thing, of course, scaring the market too much, and I feel like, but the underlying story is still on the bond market, you guys. The precious metal market has been kind of going up like crazy, and gold went up and becoming more expensive, but I think that Bitcoin's going to typically going to follow that in a few months' time. But all of the panicking comes from the bond market over here. So you have 10 years. Obviously, Scott Bessent want the 10 years to go down because he was like talking about it on the press, and so again, something might be broken, you guys. And of course, again, it's not related to GME or anything like that, but meaning that your GME position, no matter what happened in the world, it's safe. Yes, I could say that with certainty. But of course, I can't guarantee you 100% that anything could be safe 100%, but I could sleep at night having everything I have, in GME. Precisely because, again, you guys, cash, okay, have the ability to buy at the bottom at the moment in time. Come on. Cash is king at this point in time. Leadership prepared for this moment in time. Can you imagine having $6 billion in the bank right now when nobody has the money? Okay. So when you see NVIDIA at $100, people will tell you to buy it, right? What if GME could scoop it at $30? We're going to do some damage here, right? I mean, you think that $4 billion is bad? Okay. It's like, no, wait until you see $6 billion getting deployed, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's whatever. Hopefully a small company that is like in needs of cash that we could use as a, umbrella of our, gaming industry to foster the gaming industry even more and have that revenue go into GameStop. You see what I mean? So you buying controlling stake of the company, like Moran's is saying, right? And not only that, because of the turmoil, the time that they're in right now, everyone wants cash. Okay, and so when you have cash to go into the companies, you have leverage. You have leverage in that company so that you could mold that company to be whatever you want. And of course, I'm thinking the plan is to buy companies that is kind of close to where gamers is going to be. But again, that's remain to be seen. It could be something entirely different. What if we're gonna buy a gold mine? Or we had already bought a gold mine. Who knows? Not HYMC, the one that actually mine golds. All of that could happen. The U.S. not being a currency people want it. One is crazy to me. Okay. Wait, the US not being a currency. You mean the US dollar? It's not being a currency at all. People want is crazy. Right. I mean, like, of course, cash dollars obviously will cause people to think that, because of inflation, right? It's gonna erode your purchasing power and all that stuff. And that's the narrative, obviously, that in which a country that is kind of overinflated over time. And then, when you have crisis like this, where people just selling treasury bond like crazy or anything that they could have their hands on, right? They typically will ensue more panic. Okay. Of course, Federal Reserve has already spoken about how they have the tools to prepare for any turbulence, all of that, right? Usually that's code word for quantitative easing. Okay, so it happens already where it touches this spot right here. The problem is we don't know how low this is gonna go. So if there's any more fear because of this uncertainty in the markets right now with the tariffs, who knows? Wolfpack checking in. Okay, great. Thank you. But yeah, I'm not a TA person, you guys, so just make sure that you cautiously optimistic, right? With everything that you see. Okay. With the SPY, obviously it's been running like crazy, so it's due for a correction. And this is not Armageddon, you guys. Come on. It's okay. It's okay. And look at this. So, ever since, what is this? What year is this? Hi, Anthony, what's up? This is 2009, okay? The year 2009, the stock market has never coming back down. But if you measure this against the US dollar buying power, you're going to see a different chart. Because in denomination of dollars, this has been skewed. But if you denominated this by gold, denominated this by, Bitcoin, you're going to see like flat. So the whole stock market is actually flat. If you think about the inflation, actually, that's what I meant to say. Accounting for inflation. Because during this time, they've been printing money. And think about how long it's been. Okay? Close to 17 years of just straight up inflation. Okay? This is inflation, you guys. This is a representation of inflation in 17 years. No wonder people cannot afford it. Okay? So what happened when people cannot afford it? Yes, you want the price to come down. Okay? Again, this is why is the greatest opportunity. for not only for people who wants to establish some position in any company. I'm not just talking about GameStop. If you don't like GameStop, okay, that's fine. That's on you. But GameStop is one of the company that could do pretty well, outperforms the S&P 500 within this time frame. Okay, a year from now, if you were to measure the growth of GME stock, okay, to the growth of SPY, you're gonna see a totally different performance scale. Okay, of course, depends on what happened tomorrow. We will see. But now everything's gonna be cheaper. It's easier to establish for people like you and I. If you have a job and able to sustain your expenses, don't do crazy things, then you can put it away, and hopefully you are going to become wealthier a little bit, okay, or at least try to beat the inflation. But for sure, in my opinion, GME is gonna beat the inflation anyway. Okay, so what is going on with GME? Not much, you guys. The same. This is the swap that we saw yesterday. There's something fishy going on here where the price glitch is going 372. That's crazy, huh? But again, could be just a price, first trading of the week, and who knows. But anyway, so people have been asking what is going on with April 20th. Well, it's just the post that Roy and Kitty might do a YOLO update. And of course, right, that's also a speculation. Who knows? But it comes from a meme that says it's time for you to cover. So, like the Time magazine. That's cool. Sorry, been yawning. Goodness, I guess I'm pretty tired today. And emotional wrecked. Not because of the market though. Okay, so could you guys sell at that price? Really? Do we? I don't know. You do you. If you want to sell, you could sell. No worry. In this cult, you guys, you could do whatever you want with your shares. Okay. there's no rhyme or reason. That's like buy and hold, never sell. No, not everything like that. Yes, long-term holder, 10 years or more, you want to hold. It's okay. You could, establish it slowly, like Morenz has been doing, and then you're not going to bog down by the price action. If it comes back, crashing down. Anytime there's spike, obviously, it's always a good practice to at least think of the exit, strategy. If you have a strategy moving forward, obviously it's easier to really execute those, but you have to follow it though. Okay, what if it goes up to $1,000 a share and then immediately going down like that? That price glitch right here. Don't you think somebody get to sell, at that $300 right there? Of course, you could sell it real quick. Okay, so cool. All right, what I see with GME is price action is changing. Also, the downtrend is about to go north. All right, you hear it first, you guys. You hear it first. 5 years ago, into holding GameStop, flipping 50,000 K or 50,000 K into close to $500 million. Close to over $500 million. Never sold a share, still holding. Unwavering conviction. I don't know. That would be crazy, right? mean, think about this, you guys. What if he showed up and it's like $1 billion worth of positions in GameStop? The guy's gonna hold like 12% stake. Oh, that'd be crazy, huh? But of course, yes, speculation. So just be wary of that. A lot of price action after hours too. I do agree with Anthony there. Um, again, dark pool, I'm sure, and of course you have this announcements from Trump that he's going to look into, or at least his company is going to be looked at as a naked shorting. Of course, naked shorting means that you don't own any share. You just short it into the market, hoping that it's going to come down and you could buy it at a cheaper price. And naked shorting, expose yourself to infinite risk. Okay, because you never know. You never know how high the stock's going to go and all that stuff. That's why we are all here. If you trust in the narrative of what is it, the whole naked shorting shares that doesn't exist, and how many of them are in the swap right now. Okay, so again, this is a very, very, very bullish for this too. So if they do indeed going to go through all of the BS that is happening, of course they're going to find something. You guys, come on. They have to. The fact that the SEC is still not stepping in on how the market has been trading lately, that's crazy, you guys. It just shows that you have zero accountability for people who, again, they have the upper hand. Why? Because they have the data. But they can't stop this, for sure. They cannot stop what people, if they know what they're holding, obviously they're not going to sell. But for even just, trader coming in, crazy. Very happy. Okay, good. I'm glad you're happy. Everybody seems to be happy around here, But yeah, that's good. I know you did you ever add more around like $20 a share? I know you like take a pause or something like that. But anyway, so oh my goodness, look at this call premium. It's crazy, right? So again, just because the option chain is spiking up like this doesn't mean it's gonna do something, but it shows the bullishness of people who, betting that the stock's gonna go higher. But this could change tomorrow, okay? Because they could sell it immediately into the market and then it's going to crash the price again. So be prepared, for anything that could happen in the future. But I wouldn't necessarily would be the best time to write covered call right now if you want to play it that way. Because again, any time is a risk. You could lose your share. However, if you don't care about the strike price, let's say you pick $50 and it got executed at 50, you're gonna be so happy, right? For you. I mean, depends on where you think the price point is going to go based on the company, based on whatever. But like I said, this is going to be mechanic. Okay, you have to separate between the price movement of whether it is mechanic or fundamental. Okay, or manipulation. Okay, so that's also exists as well. So let's listen to this CEO here. Of course, he's talked about his Truth Social. And this is the media company that was, I think, created by Trump or owned by Trump or whatever. But I want you to listen to this, though. Just because it's Trump doesn't mean it's not true. Okay, so just be prepared for that. The firm opinion is fostered here, okay? Wouldn't block you or anything like that. But, market close tomorrow? What? Oh, it's Easter, you guys. Man, I was so hopeful. for tomorrow. That's crazy. I'm sorry. I wasn't even aware of that. But anyway.
Now that we've begun to talk about this, we have people that are essentially whistleblowers that are coming forward. So we're getting people now that are coming out of the woodwork that are beginning to tell us things that I'm like, wow, this looks like something that I should have looked at when I was in Congress. It appears like it's been happening for a long time, but it's something that shouldn't happen in this country. I mean, you shouldn't be, if you're on this reg show list, if there's an irregularity, you can understand if something gets a little out of whack for 1 or 2 or 3 days, but then if the system works properly, everything should be cleaned out quickly. But I think the problem is bigger. And maybe they got so greedy at targeting us that maybe, just maybe, we don't know, but maybe we're going to expose something that's going to be bigger than what most of us imagined. And I think there's probably been a lot of companies over the last decade or so or more that have been hurt by these same tactics. And so, look, I'm hopeful that we're going to continue to work with our allies in Congress. We'll build the case. We'll inform the appropriate authorities. As you know, we've already talked to the NASDAQ. Seems to me like the RICO statute applies here. And that leads me to, the other, we're obviously going down the congressional route right now. But don't forget, there are a lot of state attorney generals that should have an interest in this. If, how much damage has been done to capital formation of other smaller companies that have been hit by this naked short selling or counterfeit shares. My guess is it's going to be a large number. And look, we just might be the poster child. And if this happened to us, we're going to break it out into the open. We're going to make sure that people know about it, and we're going to continue to expose it. So working with Congress, working with other governmental authorities, and also going to work with the state attorney generals.
That's crazy, right, you guys? Okay, so the gist of it is that naked shorting, legal or illegal, it's still harmful. Whether it's happening right now, of course, people were like, oh, naked shorting doesn't exist anymore. Well, you need to, at least go through the evidence, to at least try to find out if it ever happened, indeed, But naked shorting is not the only tactic that they use in order to short the stock. Okay, they have like swaps, they have calls and put spreads or whatever they wanted to do. That's also another way to synthetically short the stock in and of itself, because it increases in supply based on the bets that might ensue. For that week, for that year, for that whatever month of the company earnings. Okay. Again, this stems from the option markets, derivatives, swaps, and all that stuff. Very complicated. Has nothing to do with the company whatsoever. Okay. So just in case it's explode, I just want to explain to people like, hey, there's other mechanic here. It's not just the company, doing better on the balance sheet side and all that stuff. Not just that. Yes, it helped because it helps as a catalyst to get more money, to get institutional trust from the outside. Okay. Hold on 1 second, you guys. What's happening? Okay, KCR. All right. Okay, 2,000 shares. That's cool. Tomorrow will be okay. Okay. All right, people are just chatting. Okay, so that was a good clip there. Of course, people are going to start to compare this, but I think the fun is going to be towards the end of the year. If you compare Jimmy with the SPY, right, it's going to be like, huh? Why is this making sense? Well, it makes sense because people have been lying to you on TV about this company, so that's why it makes no sense. And I'm sure they're gonna, try their best to spin the story. Okay, so retail arbitrage. Okay, all right, there you go. Block sites and all that stuff. You could see People buy bonds and dump stock type thing. But there's a lot of dark pool order over here. I think I saw quite a few somewhere, not there. Sorry, you guys. I'm just like babbling here, and people are just listening. Not quite sure what just happened. What did you just say? I'm not even awake, you guys. Like, can you tell? Can you tell? Okay, so what am I looking at here? Bond market, we did that already. So crypto. Oh yeah. That's what I would kind of mention a little bit here. I know we're close to the M2 money supply. Kind of creeping back up again. M2 money supply. Money stock. No. M2. No, this is Ethereum. I feel like. No. What the heck? Did I? Right here. No, that's money stock. Where is the global money supply goes? Goodness. Just trust me, it goes up, right? It goes up like crazy. Money stock. Is that the one? Okay, all right. Well, here. So you see, like, unfortunately, this cannot be string too too low. But this is a weekly, and it seems like, see, there's a perking up again. Just means that liquidity is coming. The US, this is the US. Liquidity is coming, and it's creeping back up to the high of last year. What happened during this time? I wonder what you guys think. Why are we going up like crazy like this, right? Of course, money printing, right? No wonder the inflation is here. The inflation was never transitory because these things happen way too abruptly. And so that's why Bitcoin's going to go higher, okay? When global liquidity is perking up like this, you don't want to not pay attention. But this also an indication that it's already happening. And so it takes some time to get these money right here. See what? Trillions of dollars over here to join into the economy. So that's why, typically when there's a money printing, shock of money printing, you don't see what's happening at all until 6 months later, a year and a half later, you're gonna see it, right? So meow. Okay, cool. Where's Orange Kitty? I thought we would. I know, right? Crazy. I'm sure it's coming. He's coming soon. It's lurking for sure, and we're all awaking. Not awake. Are you alive? Okay. You ain't showing screens. Oh my goodness. There you go. You see what I mean? I'm telling you, this is a growing pain for sure. Just pain in my life. Okay, so this is the global money supply. It's perking up. There you go. And if you measure this from here to here with Bitcoin, let's see if it will work. Okay, let me see. So this is what people have been using to kind of measure what's happening with, global money supply. You see how it's like perking up here? People have been comparing this little dip over here to here. Okay, so the rip or whatever, the uptrend, okay, at the very least is going to kind of follow. Okay, And again, that's why also too people think that this cycle Bitcoin is going to kind of reversed. Okay, reverse the I guess the price action here. Okay, how high? Not quite sure. I mean, if the global money supply is just as high as it used to be up here, then yes, it's gonna go over 100,000 again. But keep in mind, this is just the U.S. Globally, Bitcoin is global. Think about that. So very liquid, very volatile. Yes, that's true. But if Jimmy were to buy into this and announce in June, ooh, baby, that is going to be crazy. But anyway, of course, my speculation or my wish is that Ryan Cohen's going to announce before earnings. But knowing him, though, I don't think he's gonna do that. It's very conservative, obviously, in words and earnings call and all that stuff. His style, it's okay. That's not why I invest in the company, right? I invest in the company for the CEO to go to work and not just come to the meeting and like reading off of the script anyway. We want him to waste time on building the company, so okay, he doesn't have to do earnings call.
Did you know when comparing
What?
both Bitcoin and gold in the last 5 years, GameStop is your safe haven, it is the real hedge. What do you guys think? Did you know when comparing GameStop, Bitcoin, and gold, GameStop has outperformed both Bitcoin and gold in the last 5 years? GameStop is your safe haven, it is the real hedge. What do you guys think? Did you know when comparing
cool.
Did you know when comparing GameStop, Bitcoin, check out the net call premiums for GameStop going. Are we about to get some action at GameStop finally? Here's a post from Greg from Twitter. 420 is in 69 hours. Are we finally about to see some action with GameStop? 420 is near. Are we?
Of course. So this type of like coding, right? We think that market is looking about because certain price spike. They call it thumping. During after market is it's like 69, right? So you typically say stuff like that. So who knows? It could be market maker try to mimic Ron Kitty too. Who knows? But it's happening. Okay, so this should never happen. Something is breaking for sure, you guys. So be prepared. Of course, make sure that you have some cash. Okay, if you are not having emergency cash in order to cover what is happening, just don't be invested fully yet. I'm just talking about general, you guys. In general, just have some cash so that if the downtrend trend comes, of course not to GameStop. Obviously, GameStop could go up, but just in case GameStop coming down with the market, you are prepared not to sell at a low. Okay, worst, sell at a loss for you. I don't mind where you're selling. At least you get some profit, right? Whether big or small, that's on you. But just be prepared for this type of thing. I'm telling you, Ryan Cohen has prepared for this. He might not know exactly what time. That's why we've been kind of sitting in cash for quite some time. Because again, he's following the style of Warren Buffett here. Of course, he's gonna try to leave cash. Crazy. Okay, so let's listen in.
Hello, fellow Rebel Capital. So regulations and yada, yada, yada. And therefore, they don't want to get involved with these spreads. But when the spreads go further and further and further and further and further negative, something's up. It's not just the fact that these dealers are constrained as far as their balance sheet capacity. Now, let me be clear. They're not constrained, or they might be constrained, but only because they want to be constrained. It's not because regulations are the only thing that is constraining them and making the cost of getting involved and taking advantage of that free arbitrage increasing to the point where they don't want to get involved with the trade at all. So like I always say about selling treasuries, or there's a big difference between, or creating liquidity in the global monetary system. There's a big difference between the ability to create liquidity and the willingness to create liquidity. So here, there's a big difference between the ability to expand their balance sheet and the willingness to expand their balance sheet. The starting point for the BIS is that they don't have the ability to expand their balance sheet anymore because of regulations. And even if they do, from a financial standpoint, it doesn't make sense. Now, right off the bat, let's just assume that the cost to them for adding these treasuries to their balance sheet to do the swap spread to begin with, or to take advantage of that arbitrage, let's just say that that costs them, I don't know, 15 basis points. Okay, fine. But let's go back to their own charts right here. And the red line is a 10-year treasury. And this goes back to 2018, 2020, and then you can see where we really start to go negative here into 2024, and where we are today, which is, it's a USD. Oh, the floating rates there. Okay, so we're at negative on the 10-year. We're negative, call it 30 basis points. So my point is, if I'm reading this chart correct, so my point is, why all of a sudden is there a higher cost, let's say now, than there was in 2022? Or even in 2023, because that's when they argue that all this issuance came out. Okay, so why weren't the swap spreads negative 30 back then? If it's all about just the additional cost of expanding the balance sheet and holding these treasuries due to SLR requirements or GSIB requirements. So that now, if you said, okay, when they came out with these regulations, which was GFC, if they immediately went to negative 30, and that's what we have seen since then, okay, then they might have an argument. You could say, okay, there's definitely a causal component there, or there's likely a causal component there. But if we're positive all the way to, let's just say 2016, and the regulations changed during the GFC, and then we just go steeply negative, then pop back up, and then go negative again, just coincidentally during the cerveza sickness, and then we go back up, and now we're negative to the point where I think is unprecedented, looking at this chart. Just the simple fact of the regulation change and adding a cost for holding treasury to the balance sheet, that doesn't make sense. There's got to be something else to it. That's really my point. So you can go ahead and just cross this one off the list, is this high premium for holding government debt. No, because if there's a high premium today, there was a high premium back in 2012 when they weren't even negative, let alone negative 30 basis points. Now, their rebuttal is going to be, well, yeah, but there wasn't as much issuance back then. And because there's so much issuance now, and by the way, it's interesting because they always say that the Treasury, the lack of issuance is why we have an inverted curve. It has nothing to do with the recession. But here what they're saying is because of the issuance, specifically in the 10-year Treasury, that now...
I would know if it has anything to do with naked shorting the Treasury. And so that's also probably in play as well. Yeah, because again, market makers seems to have so much power. And so they're just rerouting things and then, making sure that they take their cuts and all that stuff. Terrible. But anyway, you guys, people might not even understand what's happening. But just in case you guys don't understand, everything is kind of related to GameStop at some point. Because again, they have not bought anything. Yeah. Well, allegedly, who knows? But anyway, also too, it's always like debt crisis, rehypothecation, and when there's a spook in the market, right? Big players are freaking out, typically because they don't actually have the billions and billions of dollars that they're shorting into the market, and there are some bad actors out there who would take advantage of that because of the complexity of this type of thing. Because people don't realize, these swaps and derivatives and, credit spread and all that stuff that is being done to the Treasury. And of course, you have the dynamic of the, politician too. And the Treasuries, Scott Bessent and all that stuff, all in play here to try to prop up the market. But anytime you intervene with the market, natural supply and demand, whatever side it's going to go, it's going to skew the valuation regardless. That's why you see movements of companies, price movement of companies that doesn't make any sense at all. Okay, so anyway, I'm just in my mind, everything has to do with games. So, and of course, the structure of the stock market in and of itself, where your order is routed to, plays an important role. So, of course, those treasuries, markets, are they robust enough to catch the bad actors over here who don't have the collateral, but they yet get to, buy a contract and all that stuff to try to make sure that they profit off of the interest rate arbitrage, something like that. You guys, again, speculation here, no facts. Just things I'm making up in my mind, okay? Okay, so of course people doing their charting here. Okay, I'm getting ready to kind of go, you guys. I'm kind of very tired today. I'm gonna take a nap here. But anyway, I will continue more. Not soon. I don't know how soon. If tomorrow there's no markets, then might be more like Saturday. Okay. So again, there's no new information here, you guys. Come on. We know all this already. We know all this. So that's a toxic legacy swaps that we talked about yesterday. And of course, the CFTC is urging for no action. No action just means don't act. Don't use the rule against, exercising or downsizing of anything, right? Just don't move at all. That seems suspicious, right? When they say stuff like that, it means that something is not working, and they are afraid that there might be some turbulence here. Okay, because they cannot get away with their short position here. Look at this, Citadel, $2 trillion in gross. In gross. Derivative exposure, trillions? Like, dang. Does Citadel even have $1 trillion? Of course not. We know that. Who have $2 trillion? Come on. That's naive, right, to think. So stuff like this has been manipulated because they have the upper hand for so long and able to hide with the complexity of what's happening in the stock market. And on top of that, they have, the media to try to explain things and time misdirecting and all that stuff, so that you make the wrong choices of either picking stock, getting out of stock, or whatever. Because typically they want to you to buy at a high, okay? Everyone to buy at a high and sell at a low. What happened? You lose money. But typically what you should be doing is looking for the company that is not in the S&P 500 yet, that is getting closer to that. And in my opinion, GME is the closest, okay? And as long as you're adding more to the pile, as I would say as quickly as possible, because again, the price might come crashing down, right? Immediately when you put it in. And so you want to do dollar cost averaging rather than, in one go. If you ever want to establish the position here, okay? Don't say anything. Anyway, why am I getting in here? So, okay, so people are watching for Rowan Kitty, obviously. Hopefully tomorrow is the day, but we're thinking that Monday or either Sunday, possibly a YOLO update of some sort. Okay, that would be crazy, right? Everybody is like eagerly anticipating the big bang over here. Very excited for that though. And of course, something about computer share, they did actually say that even if you have direct registered, you have your shares being lent out anyway. So, but again, they have the ability to not, like they could switch if you want your shares to be lent out or not by computer share. That's pretty cool. All right, guys, I will let you go. Sorry about that. Kind of like shuffling today. A very scattered mind today. Most of the time I am. Nothing news here, okay? All right, so I hope you get some info, some entertainment out of this. I will come back Saturday, maybe. We'll see. All right, guys, I'll let you go.